This is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Having you guys, this is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat about everything it is. Mental health, disability and life in general. Here with me, Kev Dillon, and my partner in crime as always, Lee Cadman. And we're joined once again by one of my very good friends in the game, Warren Davies, aka Was from Priory Park. So Was, thank you brother for coming on.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me on again. On me on this time.
Well, we're going to have a good chat about the fire service, autism, and what a wonderful creative life you've had. But as always, we're going to talk about gratitude. Now, I'm very grateful being the Priory Park, one of our best friends and colleagues from down the road. They've done a donation for our brother Patrick McCarthy, and I'm so grateful. I mean, I'm gutted I've lost Pat, but I'm so grateful for the people around us who have give to his missus and the kids. And when tragedy happens, it's amazing how many good people are out there, just giving what they can, whether it's a time or love. So I'm grateful for people. What are you grateful for, brother?
Oh, the weekend. I had a cracking weekend there in the van before closing up. Went to watch the fireworks, which the family absolutely loved. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. Grateful for Rob and Lorraine for putting the fireworks on for us, and yeah, just a good weekend.
And what are you grateful for, bruv?
Grateful for my wife.
Is she watching?
Probably not. I don't know.
Join the club.
She might be, yeah. Now, for everything she's done, as I said, we might touch on what I've gone through, what I've done in my life and everything. But yeah, without Teresa, my wife could have been on a completely different path, I suppose, like most of us. And she supported me pretty much through everything that I've done. So yeah, grateful for my wife, Teresa.
It is amazing, you know, and often I always think about my wife, our wives, my mum, you know what I mean? And you're thinking, like, people will make a statue of Bob Dylan one day and they'll make a statue, but it's the women behind us, you know, the people, the quiet heroes. But without that hero, nothing else would come into fruition, would it? And they're not the ones, they're happy being there in the shadows, doing everything, really. We're just the face of it, aren't we? We're allowed to be the brave ones, but they're the ones who hold all the courage, aren't they?
So, yeah, I was doing the Royal Navy straight from school, and they're called ships here, and that's for a reason, because they're like the mother protecting her crew. So when people say, you know, ships, the name her, this and that, I go, why do they call the ship her? And that's exactly the reason why.
I didn't realise you were in the Navy as well.
Yeah, Royal Navy straight from school, mate. 18, left school, pretty much not sure on what to do with my life. I was with Teresa at the time then. Yeah, joined the Navy, 18. I was going through my basic training, and within like 4 months, I was on my first ship, HMS Liverpool, and down the Gulf. Pretty much on the ship for a week, and there you go, 6-month tour down the Gulf. And that's pretty much, I think, if I'm being honest, what's shaped me as a person. That 6 months was probably the hardest 6 months I've ever done in my life. But made me come back, and it did make me grow up really quick. I saw some stuff there, not as in the Gulf War and stuff, because we was just transporting ships through the Straits of Hormuz at the time. But being on a ship with fully grown men, and I was in a mess deck that no bigger than this, you know, the room was 56 massive men full of tattoos, beards, who like to drink and like to fight. It was like, I thought I was a tough kid coming out of school, and I realised I was like just a real small fish in a massive pond. So yeah, the Royal Navy, got a lot to be thankful for the Royal Navy. Good days.
Did you start boxing before you went in the Navy?
Yeah, I boxed from about, I was doing the gym 11, 12. I was a kid, I was on and off. I had to walk all the way to Meadow Road from Gornal.
Yeah.
By the time I got onto Priory, I'd get chased by the Priory kids to Meadow Road, get in the gym, come out, get chased again back to the Gornal boundary. So every now and again I'd miss the odd one, thinking, oh, I can't be arsed with this anymore. But yeah, I was boxing before I joined the Navy. And funny enough, when I joined the Navy, I actually played for the Royal Navy at football.
Yeah.
I got spotted in one of these sort of inter-house games and said, "You want to trial for the Navy next week?" Had a trial. Again, everything happened so quick in the forces. Within 2 weeks, I was being flown over to Dallas in some tournament we played, and then played combined services for a couple of years. Yeah, that's good days. Spent 2.5 years on a destroyer, HMS Liverpool, and then the last 2 years or so on HMS Ark Royal, which was an aircraft carrier, which again was a flagship of the Royal Navy, so it was constantly given away. I was away all the time, deployments, which at that point, when I joined out, I got married to Teresa, and it was that point I was like, oh,
Don't want to be away from home.
stick more to this. I've got to, if I stay any longer, you become institutionalised. And I was in a mess deck with people who've been 3rd, 4th marriages, 12 kids. You know what it's like. I'm like, mate, that ain't my life. So I put me notice in and come out.
And is that when you went into the fire service? Or?
Yeah, I did a couple of years just applying for the fire service, and then whilst I was doing that, just getting like what I could really work, put food on the table. Join job agencies and stuff. I knew I was passing, going through the fire, just a waiting game. And then obviously they called me up in 1996 was my first day when I joined the fire service. Actually took a bit of a pay cut to join the fire service. I actually got myself a job that was paying quite well, but it was just a job that
didn't interest you.
No, I've always been one of them. I don't think I needed vocations more than I needed sort of in a career more than I needed.
I think I've been
money.
exactly the same. Yeah,
Money was never my goal.
Took jobs before that I've not enjoyed and not really wanted to do, but you got to put food on the table, and it's never been long lasting. I've always looked for actually that's where I want to be and work your way towards that. Yeah. But sometimes you have to put food on the table, so you take what you're given.
Yeah. But my career was more important to me than sort of money, and that's where I've got to say, thankful for Teresa, because she sort of like, she's really from school clever. She could have gone to university, this and that. I think if she'd have gone to university and I'd have gone to the Navy, I think possibly we're probably on different paths now. But she stood by me, got herself a job in the bank, and people sort of waited for me, come out of the Navy, and then so that so I'm really thankful. That's why I said I'm thankful for Teresa and my wife for that. And then joined the fire service.
Is that alongside with your boxing? Did you got back into the boxing by then, or was you?
Yeah, no, I was back at Priory Park then. Cause I did about 2-3 years in the fire when I hurt my knee. I was boxing Macca, was my coach, and Paul. Obviously, Paul was still there. But snapped the cruciate ligament playing football.
I say boxing dangerous.
Right, and all I did was turn. We were tackle and nasty tackle, anything like that. Just turned to run, and my leg went all floppy. Fell to my go, and I was like, "That ain't right." I had that scene too, and that seemed to take an age. And I was in the fire at the time, and then when I was seeing obviously the doctor not after, they said you need to build your legs up and that, I said, well, I box at 59 kilogram, 60. If you don't put no weight on and build your leg muscles up, you ain't gonna have a career in the fire service, pretty much. So it's like that's when you get them choices, in you. Yeah. So Paul went, don't worry about it. You'd make a great coach. Come and help me with the kids and the boxers and coaching. So that's when my coaching started. So grateful for Paul Goff for that.
And a great bloke, Paul is. And Macado, another great bloke.
Yeah,
just the Brooklands now, another great club from the area, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's
how things happen. You could have hurt your leg, and then because you haven't got the coach, because the coaching has been your backbone as long as we've known each other, hasn't it? It's something you're passionate about, and you've just become the regional coach for the Midlands. and brilliant, you know, what you're doing at the Priory and now with the Midlands. But things happen, you can't see it at the time, but some things happen for a reason, don't they? You know, because if your leg had gone, it's very easy to turn to the dark side, isn't it? You know, of not getting into sport and doing other stuff instead.
100%, 100%. So I say, like, the Royal Navy sort of made me, because people say, oh, boxing changes your lives. And I always think, well, boxing ain't changed my life. It didn't when I was a kid, but it did. Like you said later, when I had that injury, I could have gone, oh, fuck this, I'm gone out on the piss with my mates, whatever. Forgot the coaching side, because coaching side is not for everybody, is it?
No.
You know, it's not, is it?
Well, you've got to be a bit weird to do it. You give up your whole life for other people's kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But at the time, there were so many kids at the gym then. It was more like youths and seniors, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, 100%.
But then obviously it's evolved over the years. But yeah, it's funny how sort of things turn and for the better, really, because I ain't looked back and I've enjoyed it.
And like the stuff that we're going to get into in a bit, like with the fire service, I suppose it has been like a haven away from all the stresses that comes alongside with the fire service as well. It's been somewhere you can be around good people and escape from the traumas you see as a fireman.
Yeah, I agree. I've always used boxing as that sort of tool, as sort of like escape from, well, not so much escape, but it's given me a way of sort of releasing, I don't know, energy or something that's, if I hadn't have had, I could perhaps, you know, manifest, think, overthink. Everyone else, you know, a lot of people overthink, but now boxing's that thing. Right, as soon as I left work, I straight to the gym, and then I'm like, I'm in the moment. Yeah. I'm in the gym, I'm coaching or whatever. So I think boxing is really, really good for that.
I suppose also about staying busy.
Yeah,
from
busy,
one from straight to the next one. You know, you don't get time to overthink anything, do you? Because you're already on to the next thing.
And you've only got to ask my wife about me not being busy. So just call you go to the gym. I'm doing my head in, I'm pacing up and down the house and this and that. But yeah, so I agree, Kev. I think it's given me, in that way, it's helped me a lot with my time during the fire service. Well, probably more than I'd like to admit or even realise. And if you know what you saying that has probably only just resonated with me. That I just took it for granted.
It also takes a lot of dedication to it, doesn't it? Finish it, because no doubt it's hard work in the fire service, you know. So to go from that to go, I've got to go coaching as well now, which is also can be hard on your body, hard on, you know. It must also took a lot of mental strength to go. Actually, I'm going to be consistent and keep going.
Yeah, well, if you hear Pete, when you have Pete on next, he'll say I'm just a big dosser in the fire service. You've done fuck all. He keeps saying, you've done fuck all again today, I've gone on this and that, because he graphs, doesn't he? But yeah, there's times where, like, in the fire, you're like, it can be a little bit boring and monotonous and you do the same old, but obviously you never know when that can change, like, in a second. And, you know, luckily for me, I say luckily, and I feel bad when I say luckily, because luckily I was busy, and in my role I was busy in my role, but that's always unlucky. I used to look
for someone else.
Unlucky for somebody else. So every time I used to go out on blues, I'm thinking that's somebody's misfortune or something. So I was always wary of that.
And when you get in there, it's often the worst of tales, isn't it? Someone's lost the house, someone's had an accident.
Exactly. And the role I was in at the end, the last 6-7 years, like the role I was in, I was responding from home. And my role, I would literally go to any fatality, any incident of serious, any serious incident. So every time I got a phone call, it was, it's pretty decent.
But you just dreaded the phone ringing.
You just get used to it, and like, we 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And where I was located, where I live, there was only me in my command group. We had a command group of 6, you'd cover the whole of the Midlands. And I had the bigger chunk of Black Country Birmingham. So I was constantly, Warren Davies, we've got a job for you now. Okay. I'll be coming back in the car, down again, out again. And some of the things you get to, the worst parts of sort of, you know what I mean? You go there and there's people mangled in cars, or you know, house fires, you know, perished in house fires, and you've got to go. I was saying earlier, didn't you? You got to walk over bodies and try and find a cause with the, you know, the FIPS officer and stuff like that. So I saw the worst of the things, and you go back, and you go back into bed, wake up 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, knackered. Have to go back to work, back to the station to do, some, you know, the station stuff.
How do you do that though? I can't imagine like even sleeping after seeing something like that. You know, how would you switch off from that? Is it just something you kind of done and you just...
I mean, you are offered counselling, but the role I was in again was really weird. So I'd go, we'd get this incident, and there'd be, you know, a fatality or whatever, and the first thing I'd do is to the crews, right, anybody want any post-incident diffusing or critical incident debrief if it was really bad? You offer the crews this chance for them to go back on station, have a cup of tea, somebody would meet them on station, have a good rattle with them. They're trained up, obviously, and then, you know, they'd diffuse it. But then I'd just go back in my car and go home. I was never part or offered any of that sort of stuff. So my role, I'd be offering it, but then I'd just be tipping back to the car, going back into the bed and just going, you know what, I'm like, get me another 2-3 hours in, because my alarm was going off at 7 because I'm back in at work, and then go to work. So our role was often overlooked, I think, at times. You know, you'd offer it, but you wasn't offered it. Then again, one of your colleagues would go, you had that fatality, you'd ring up, you don't want to chat. But yeah, blokes were like, no, I'm all right.
You were saying that when you first started, it happened, and the next night you'd all go out and debrief, then the pub.
The old days, mate, you know, there's a lot to be said. People keep going on about, you know, your dinosaurs, this and that. They used to call it dinosaurs. But when I first joined up, you'd have a fatality. As soon as you finished shift, you'd be out down the pub, 4 or 5 beers, taking the piss out of everybody, each other, having a laugh, talking about the job, having a laugh, and, you know, the one
just winding down, isn't it?
Yeah, and the one with the sixth sense of humour will say something, and you're like, ooh, too soon and all that. But it was just the way, and you know what?
No malice.
Yeah, it was no malice. I think it was just the way you just sort of like debriefed and diffused and got over stuff. But obviously then that all, as the generations have changed, watches have changed, and that sort of attitude and the watches don't tend to do that anymore. Or I found, you know, they don't seem to do that as much. And I was saying earlier, you know, you go around a mess table and, you know, 10, 15 years ago, people would be there with a cup of tea, having a rattle, laughing and joking with each other. You go around a mess table now, they're all like that. Individual on the phones and all that. And you're like,
that was in everything. You'd always say, like, I'm coming around, put the kettle on. Do you want a brew? Now you send a message, don't you? You send anything. Where's the art of a conversation? It's all right on the phone, but I'm coming round. You know, we're meeting. Put the kettle on. As human beings, and we all tasted this in the lockdown, when we missed people.
Yeah.
If the biggest introvert missed seeing the mate or seeing mom or seeing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you can sit down there and you know when you read someone's body going, are you all right? Yeah. And you go, you ain't all right, son, or you ain't all right, bab, or...
Yeah.
And we need that, don't we, as people?
I think I'm very strong on emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Whether it's because I've done the time in the Navy and the fire and my role I've had, you know, you go on station and I'd know it. Even in the gym, they'll come in. I know someone's had a shit day, and I go, what's the matter with you? Or, you know, on station, I go, are you okay? And they go, yeah, I'm good. No, are you okay? Come and have a chat. Come have a coffee. You know, get in the office, we'd have a cup of tea and have a chat, and we'd talk about them and the family and stuff. And then before you know it, disclosing stuff, this, that, and you're like, I knew you was
something
going
on. But that's just through that body language, like you said. You know, read the room, read the person.
You need that as a coach, don't you? Because as a coach, You're a counsellor, you're a dad, you're a vicar,
Yeah.
you know, you're everything to that boxer. You need that emotional intelligence, don't you? And that's why you're a great coach was, you know, good old friend. But you can see a great coach when he's got boxers who follow him to hell on a whim, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, because once you're in that corner or in that change room, they're entrusting you with everything.
I think that's the key. You see it a lot in the corner, don't you? You see some coaches who speak to that every kid the same way, but the best coaches adapt what they do to that kid.
And you've learned that through the fire, I think some people have got a gift, haven't they?
You know, as soon as I left school, I was fascinated in leadership.
Mm.
You know, you join the forces, and you leadership's big in the forces, in it, and the fire service leadership. And you know, I've seen some good leadership, and I've seen some atrocious, and more of the bad than the good. You know, and I try and think, why are they good leaders? What's their traits and stuff? And I try and pick up, and you couldn't copy because you are what you are, I think. But I do think that my type of leadership was more people-centered. You know, I was as a happy, you know, if the chief and the cook come on the station at the same time, you know, I wouldn't go running over to the chief and go, I'll get this, that. You know, the cook, how you doing, Ed? A cup of tea? Yeah. Put the kettle on. All right, gaffer. How you doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like,
I think a lot of it is people don't know the difference between leadership and a boss as well. In terms of, if you're a leader, you're leading that force, you're leading those people. And you're not over them shouting at them, you're showing them the way.
So my mantra is to be a leader is not to be the best. To me, or to be the best leader, it was to bring the best out in people, or to be the best person for them to develop and be the best they can be. Never about me, always about, you know, the watches and the fire.
I think it's recognised as well. There's other people that are better at certain things within what you do. Yeah. So you point them in that direction.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, trying to take all it yourself and that way.
I remember one of my first, they put me in an investigation. I used to hate investigations. I was like, you know, somebody had done this investigation with somebody, the first one. And they said, you got to do all this fact finding, then you got to write a report. And it's so not me. I was like, God, just give him a bollocking. Get it done. And you know what I mean? I always wanted and I've put this report in, and the HR woman, bless her, or people support, they call them now, just laughed. I went, I went, this is like probably the worst report I've ever seen in my life. I went, don't put me on them then. I said, that ain't me. I wanted to sit in front of computers and do you know what I mean? I think I had to do more and more as it went on, but I think I was the last person that asked to do an investigation, because it was more about the report than actual, you know, the fact finding. But I was more of not a door, come in, right, you've been a twat.
Yeah.
But not that's such a twat that I need to discipline you, but just stop being a twat.
Yeah.
And I found that worked. And the amount of people I had in and say, mate, stop being a twat. Stronger words than that sometimes.
Yeah.
And they go, are you going to stick me on a discipline? I'm like, well, no. This is between me and you and the other person. And if you've apologised and they're happy,
let's leave it there.
Let's leave it there.
But it ain't the world better with just a bit of common sense like that. You're not going to get in trouble. You will, if I have to do it again, but this is your one chance. Learn from it. It goes a long way, doesn't it? As respect, and it's in education. I was unaware what I've done wrong. You've pointed it out. I'll do better.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you've got people who they see everything as a badge, or, you know, for the next rank and this. And so people would just do what they've got to do. Very sort of, you know, black and white and Mr. Corporate or Mrs. Corporate, and that was my style. And I think that pissed a lot of people off, if I'm being honest, above me and around me. But that's just the way I was. And I found that when I left January, when I had my leaving due, I had 2 leaving dues. I never had a leaving due with my peers. I had 2 leaving dues and 99% of them was firefighters, and it was rammed. And I was chuffed with that.
Yeah.
Got the people who counted.
Yeah, I couldn't have been no happier.
Because how many years were you in the service?
27, just shy, because I did 5 and a bit in the Navy, and they equate it, don't know how they equate it, give me 3 years and 100 and odd many days. So they took that off my total for the 30 years, which optimum then was like January, just gone was my optimum. And if I'd have stayed on any longer, all your pension starts depreciating and stuff like that. So, plus I was ready to go anyway. I'd had enough. The last 18 months, because I got moved to Highgate from Walsall because I was not a bad boy, but I wouldn't conform. I wasn't a yes man. I challenge.
I don't know why people are scared of that.
Well, that's how we like challenge, but they challenge, and then they go, "Oh, you can't do this. We're moving you to Highgate from Walsall. Oh, that'll be a bummer for you." Guess what? It was the best 18 months of my fire service career. In terms of, it's a busy station, so I like being busy. So that was great. I loved it. Getting to and from was a bit of a jaunt, like, but you know, I put up with that, and I really enjoyed that. But prior to that, COVID destroyed the fire service for me.
In what sense?
Everyone went, it's all teams, everyone laptops, you can't go on station, you can't do this, you can't do that. I can only respond, which was great because I was quite busy, but I wanted to go and see the crews and this and that. Yeah. And, you know, when I started relaxing a little bit, I was the one, I was on station pretty much every day. I was supposed to be, I was like, I'm going on station. I just need to be around people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I feed off that. And I was saying then that this 18 months, 2 years of this COVID is going to unearth a lot of problems in the fire service because no one's training. Because you couldn't have training because of the...
You know what? Of all the things you think would stop fire service, you wouldn't think it'd be one of them, would you?
So
in terms of anything,
we didn't stop operation.
Yeah, but in terms of any, you'd think all that kind of needs to stay up to date and be relevant.
It's an excuse then.
Well, how can you tick boxes over here, but over here you're going, well, actually, we don't have to worry about training because of COVID. Well, surely you're still, in my head.
But it's still all that and space still applied on the fire station. You know, there's lines every so many meters and stuff, and you have to wash your hands and, you know.
But you're going into fires.
I know, but we had temperature checks, and I was the one, like, you know, firefighters, like the one first day they had him, I was at Walsall, one of the firefighters was like, put his head on the radiator. And when he couldn't come up, and then I got pinged this photo of this firefighter, like with a big red thing like that, and you know, can you sort this out? I'm like, oh, God. I rang up, because he Kev there, yeah, he goes, Kev, you're a twat. I said, that goes to the area commander and everything, they're all looking at that. I said, what you do that for? He said, I just wanted to check what temperature my brow would come up with. I said, but no, you've got to go on. But yeah, and then during them COVID, everything was done on Teams, and then everyone was like, you know, I was saying, like, people grinning themselves to death. Oh yeah, great job, fantastic, this, that, and that. And I'm like, man, this is just pants. I couldn't do this. If I knew I was going to do this for another 2-3 years, I might resign early. I couldn't do it. But then we come out of COVID. It did for me unearth a lot of problems that the fire sort of like got away with during COVID. But then, yeah, I got moved because, believe it or not, I had an opinion on the Black Country flag.
Yeah.
I agreed with it.
Yeah, and I'll do.
Somebody challenged it.
I've got one there.
Mate, somebody challenged it, right? So I challenged them. She's my gaffer, by the way. She said I was to reconsider whether I thought I was racist and all that.
Oh, what a load of
so I told her all about the history of the Black Country flag, because she wasn't from Black Country. She was from, I don't know, somewhere else. I don't know where she was from. So I gave her the history of it. And then I went and said, well, I'm going to get me a cup of tea out of my Black Country mug, which she took offence to. Next thing I know, I'm like, I'm going to think about putting on discipline. I was getting discipline. So I called her every name under the sun. And then about 2 days later, he rang me I'm moving to Highgate. I said, you can move me to Timbuktu as long as I'd have to work with you. I ain't bothered. So then I went to Highgate, and actually it did me a favour because I don't have to work with Anne. I loved it. So again, sometimes things happen.
Yeah, I think there should be no bias towards anything within the police, ambulance, or fire service.
They're trying to make it a political statement.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It shouldn't be about political statements.
No, and I know our chief was a Black Country bloke at the time, and I think secretly he's thinking,
Yeah.
I've got to be impartial. I've got to look.
You just don't want the headache.
Yeah, he's thinking, why? And then, about 2 weeks later, it was like, hey, we support the Black Country flag. Westminster Fire Service has no issues flying the Black Country flag. Hallelujah.
And they're talking to a bloke who's from a boxing club with every nationality.
That's what I tried to explain when I said you would think about you being racist.
You're thinking,
I'm like, what?
yeah. But it's people wanting to have a row about, don't you find that the world now? People want to have a row. People don't have discussions anymore. They will fight to the bitter death about stuff they have no idea about.
Yeah.
And you
So
think
they've got to have an opinion.
yeah.
Well, you think the first thing she'd have done up here, you'd have researched the Black Country flag.
Well, they don't. People don't. They get a bee in the bonnet, and then they spurt out, and then they dig themselves that
I mean,
deep.
that's she's probably just heard something about it, hasn't she? She's not even. It's not even like I've looked into this. It's this bloke down here or this newspaper article says this, so it's true. So now I'm going to challenge
Would have
it.
just heard the name Black Country,
Exactly.
and they've made
It was
an
about the
opinion on
chains, wasn't it?
The
For
chains.
slavery and stuff. And I was like, okay,
That's
I
what we
get
made.
that. And, we got chains opening the engine house doors. Do we change all them to roll?
the Titanic.
I said, and the chains we did, the men did, was for the Titanic, was the big chains.
Yeah.
I said, so the small chains, which was used with slaves, which you can't get away from it, was done by women. So now you're saying that all Black Country women are racist.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I'm saying, well, you am really. If you're going into the sort of that detail, and you know what I mean? I said, I can argue all day with you.
Ultimately, you've got to face the history of everything as well, haven't you?
Exactly.
It is what it is.
The furnace used to make our glass.
And these are the Black Country women that have probably forged equal rights in the country.
Yeah. I think they were one of the first in the whole of the country, weren't they?
And that was because the men was getting paid for the weight of the chain, so they was doing the big chains. So the women had to do the smaller chains, had to work harder to do more
To make as
more money.
much. Yeah.
So that's how that come about as well. So I educated her on that.
But some people don't want the truth because their opinion overrides anything else. And you're thinking, well, sometimes, once again, agree to disagree, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why have we got to make this into a battle when it could just be go away or let's move on from something else?
Yeah. Well, I put on a development plan for that. But then as soon as I moved to Highgate, my new gaffer, I told him, and he went, closed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, none of that.
I mean, because you had some great times in the fire service. I mean, but when you were telling me off camera about some of the horrors that you had to go through, as well as everything that was going on outside the service, and there wasn't the backing of these organisations that on face value, if you need us, we're there for you. But a lot of the time, the promises aren't backed up, are they?
No, like I mentioned, my last month, I was actually off on restricted duties, not operational, personal circumstances, which we might go on to. And I was getting online counselling. So I was getting counselling. I had 2 or 3. And I think it was a week before I was retired, I had a phone call saying, your counsellor, I had a good chat. Don't get me wrong, she was great. And at the end of it, she went, right, I'm going to have to book you in for 3, 4, 5 more of these. Definitely, because I can tell you're still sort of struggling. And I was like, yeah, fine. I said, but you might have a bit of a problem because I'll retire next week. And they're like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll have a word with the gaffer. I said, I've got your number. I said, and I'll sort it. I said, I have got to sort it through the gaffer and that, and then we'll give you a ring back. I never heard anything. He's not our employee. Done.
You don't.
Never mind the 30 years.
Was that? Was you getting counselling about PTSD at that point? Was that?
No, so I've never been diagnosed with PTSD. It'd be interesting if I went to see a professional now and spoke to them whether they could link anything to some sort of PTSD. I probably think they probably could.
Yeah.
But no, never diagnosed. But I did see I'd see a counsellor twice in 2 different periods. Through pretty much the same thing, which was home based thing, but obviously work on top of that, and the stress that the role I was under, particularly I say in the last 2 years, my role, the stress was through the roof, because it was just, we need this report by 12 o'clock today, that's at 9 o'clock in the morning.
And you got people arguing about flags.
You know what I mean? You got and we want this, and I did that report last week. Yeah, but we want it again. It's just, it was like literally continually. We want reassurance. I keep saying, we need reassurance on this. We need reassurance on this. We need reassurance on this. And it's like Groundhog Day, and it's like everybody's like, oh. And be honest with you, I made some figures up loads of times. I thought, you know what? Bump, 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 bump. There you go. No one questioned them once. No one looked at them.
Yeah. And that's the nature of it. Why are we fixating on nonsense when
there's a job to do?
When there's a job to do, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a tough old job, it was. You know what I mean? You laughed about it earlier. So some days you do nothing, but then other days you're seeing the stuff that me and him would have nightmares about. You know what I mean? And it's...
I remember my first show, it was a couple of weeks in the job, was a guy stepped out in front of an Arctic lorry. And at that time, I was the one on the sprog. I had to pick the brains up off the floor. I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget his face. Believe it or not, he had like an exit wound out his head, and his face was like, you know, like one of these masks.
Yeah. Ugh.
I'll never forget it, because it's my first one. I can still see it now. And I'll never forget that as I'm going picking some brains up, this other rookie police officer, she's a woman, she's going, we've got the best job. Everyone's going, oh yeah. Some guy was walking on the path with a staffy, and then I was just about, the staffy went and had some of the...
Oh my God.
I was going, oh no. They hadn't called the bloody path off that day, because he's on the road.
Yeah.
But he'd have gone onto the path, can you imagine? Gone onto the path, and I'm like, oh, my life. You know what I mean? But then obviously we go back to station, and they're like, anyone want scrambled egg on toast?
Oh, Jesus.
I know I probably shouldn't be saying this, but that's their way.
That's your way,
like,
yeah.
No, no, I couldn't have scrambled egg on toast then for about 6 months.
How old was you? Ish.
Well, I was like 26, 27.
But it's still...
Yeah, but it's my first, like...
I don't think it matters what age you're at when that's your first kind of thing, yeah.
You know, a few weeks at my first fatality. And I remember saying to you earlier that my last fatality, the nastiest one was an house fire, a woman perished. And then I had to go in and sort the cause out. And I said to you, the FIPS officer says, do you want to come in and have a look round? I said, can you see what's the cause? He went, yeah, 100% this. I went, do I need to come then? He went, no. I went, I'm happy then. I don't see another dead body. I'd already walked over like 6 of the dogs, which was bad enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. That was God's honest truth. And he went, that's really refreshing to hear that. He said, because if you don't need to see it, why would you need to see it?
Yeah.
And I'd say to the crew, if no one needs to go in and see that, you don't have to go in.
Stay outside.
We're going to need 1 or 2 people to you have to empty the room out, clean the room, and make sure that there's no fire spread and that. I said, so if you don't want to see it, work it that you don't need to see it. I was big on that. I'd say that to a lot of the crews. I only need 2 people, because I had an RTC once as well, not far from here. Some young girl had rolled under the car, and it was nasty. We had to the police had to do the investigation, so they had to leave an in situ. So then we have to call the crew back out to get her out. We'll get them out and put them in a bag or whatever. And I said then, this is going to be an easy one. I'm going to go roll the car a bit. So I only need 1 or 2. I don't need 4 or 5. So if there's any, 2 or 3 we don't need to see, fair play. A couple went, I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's good, because when's that one person, that trigger, could remind them of the mom, the sister,